G'day, welcome to On the Mic. Today, the divine and mystical properties of numbers, numerology. This guy here is a buddy of mine from many, many years ago. His name is Steve Murphy, and he is one of the best numerologists in the numerological universe.
Thank you, Mike. I thought for a moment you were going to say divine SM.
Many, many years ago in Sydney, Australia, we used to work at a radio station called 2SM.
Yes.
I was a shit kicker office boy.
And your dad's still famous.
Yeah, Dad still works there.
Yes, I know. I was listening to your dad in Melbourne many, many years ago. So Grant and I go way, way back. Yeah.
So Steve did the night show on 2SM, and he was the #1 rock jock in Sydney.
Yeah, and we were never allowed to say 2SM. We had to go 2SM. That's how we
the bizarre thing about this radio station, it was owned by the Catholic Church.
Yes.
And they had this thing in there called What to Do If the Pope Dies kit. Do you remember that?
Yes.
So it's like this briefcase, and it had all these tapes you had to play, and this script you had to read out.
Yeah, it was in a briefcase.
In case the Pope died.
And it was in, I think it was next to the same case. There was a case for programming on Christmas Day where we had to play non-stop Catholic music.
Yep.
And but that was our legacy.
Wow. All those years ago, that was my start. But I remember what an awesome bloke you were to me back then, because my first show was Midnight to Dawn. I think you were actually there when I took to the airways for the first time, because the automation system called Fred broke down that plays all of the tapes. Remember?
That's
Midnight to Dawn?
Extremely rare to hear that, because it must have been a one-off, because Fred, automation's renowned for falling over, but at 2SM it never did.
Well, I kind of made it stuff up so that I could get my first break on air and get to do the show. But you were lovely to me back then, and you know, when you're freaking out doing your first radio show, it's the people around you that make it a lot easier. So he's a good bloke, this Steve Murphy, and that's why I've followed your career and seen where you've headed with this numerology thing, and you've done it for 33 years now.
Yes, I was at 3MP in Melbourne, which has since closed, and I was one day working in the record library, and this lady came on the air, still a personal friend of mine, Tamara Wright, and she was numerologist, psychic to the stars, of which a title she does not like to be referred to as psychic. Yeah. But there is a great sense of intuitive knowing when you go down the study of astrology or numerology. You do tap into the chords of the universe, and you will get this knowing. Parents get it as kids, because kids will say, oh, we're going to go down the street and play under the railway bridge, and they'll have you think that's a good idea, but as a parent you feel it's not. So as feelings, these chords that you get from the universe, they're your gut instinct. And there's a lot of that feeds off numerology. It's a bit like palm reading. Your left palm is your past, your right palm is your future. And it's not so much the lines on your hands, as you can get your parents to do this at home, but as you feel the hand, and as you're tuned into your children or your parents, when the touch of their body or their hand or their soul or their spirit, not only that, it's warming to the spirit, and you get feelings about it, and you'll tap into some sort of intuitive knowing, and you'll hear this phrase so often from parents or children, you know what, I don't know about that. They do know. They do know. So
it's an intuitive thing.
You listen to them. Yeah. And I suppose there's going to be just a couple of people out there that will say, no, I'm not going to be listening to my mother. But be it your mother or your father, your parents know.
Mother's intuition.
They do. They do know. And they won't let you down. A loving parent won't let you down. And you're always a child in the eyes of your parents.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter how old you are.
Yeah. How does numerology come into play with the feelings that you have?
Getting back to Tamara, I heard her on the air, and she was talking about Demos Roussos this particular day, and Diana Ross, and she was then taking calls. Yeah. And just on the strength of their birth dates coming in, this unfathomable accuracy was coming through, and I up until then I really hadn't taken much notice of it. Astrology, numerology, all I thought was listening to this woman, she's pretty spot on.
Yeah.
And of course it was a classic case of do me. Post her interview, we went and had a coffee. Tamara and I clicked.
Yeah,
she disappeared momentarily where we went for a coffee, and she said, I'll be back in about 5. And I thought, whatever. So she came back with this book by Dr. Yuno Jordan called The Romance in Your Name, and was feverishly writing in the front of it. I said, what are you doing? Dear Steve, this book is going to change your destiny and your life. Regards, the numbers. Love, Tamara. I've still got that book. I mastered it within 3 months. It was the study of the numbers according to 50 people who stayed together at the Los Angeles Numerical Studies from about 1950 through to about 1979 it was. And
so what do you mean they stayed together? Like couples?
They formed a group. These 50 people.
Yeah.
And over this 25 to 29 years, they were watching their lives replicate each other and this is how this book was written. And they were looking at like the day and the month of your birth date added to the universal year in question. So if we take something like 1969, which was a number 7 year. So if you're born on the 11th of the 1st, so there's 3, because there's 3 ones. Plus the 7, there's a 10. So that individual is going to be in a number 1 personal year. And you always, for our friends who are watching in, who are looking at numerology, universally, like in this year, 2018, we are in a number 2 year. Why? Because 2018 added up, brought down to a single digit, is a number 2, and I'll explain a little bit about that shortly. But when you say, and there's a lot of arguments about this based on ignorance, but it's primarily based on the study of numbers, and after doing it for 33 years, and I just checked recently with Tamara, and she said to me, your personal year, and I agree with her, your personal year is from your birthday to your birthday to your birthday. Now, how does that work out if your birthday's on December 24? So you would take, like, because your birthday would have fallen last year, 2017, in a number 1 year. So you add that number 1 to December 24. So in this case, it would be, that's a 6 and 3 is 9 and 1. So that person, anyone born on that birthday, it's going through a number 1 year this year.
Right, okay.
But seeing universally, and I'll bring it back to where we all are, we're in a number 2 year at the moment around the world. Now, how many of you, and see whether this cracks an egg with you, a lot of you are being faced with delays. Things are just slow because everything happens every 9 years. Spiritually, have you heard of the 7-year itch?
Yeah.
Spiritually, mentally, we do get restless every 7 years.
Yeah.
But worldwide, universally, it's actually every 9 years. So we're now in the 2nd year of this universal 9-year period, and nothing is really going to happen up until about July. Why is that? Because the number 9 represents the endings of things before we go into double digits.
Okay.
So how does that equate to this year? 2018 added up, brought down to a single digit, is a 2 year. So in the July month, which is the 7th month, 7 plus 2 is 9. Mark it in your diaries, friends. Watch how many things come to a close.
Really?
Things are going to come to a head.
So, okay, you're blurting out all these numbers, and we've gone from how you got into it, and like this is where I wore this Einstein jacket with all these sums and equations on it today, because I'm hopeless at maths, hopeless at numbers. I've even got to think a couple of times, and you say 5 plus 2 equal. Okay, yeah, that's right. Okay, got that. Where's my calculator? So I'm still trying to wrap my head around how numbers adding up a certain way can change how your life turns out.
That's a good question. So we'll go back to the Phoenicians who used numbers as symbols. That's
I've been there in Las Vegas. The Phoenician, it's an amazing casino. And so I guess they use numbers to win all that money.
Well, there's another intuitive knowing. I've poker machines, some people are just born lucky. Who might those people be? If you're born on the 16th, this is true. More than any other number. It's a heavy number, I've got to say, the 7. It's not my favorite number. But the easy takers are the 3s, the 6, and the 9s. And at no point do I ever want to appear offensive or offend anybody. But if you're born on the 3rd, the 6th, or the 9th of any month of the year, or numbers that add up to a 3, a 6, or a 9 brought down to a single digit. So we're looking at the 3rd, the 12th, the 21st, or the 30th of any month of the year. Those people, if it's not working out for you, I'm sorry, you're either lazy or you're just not,
because they're really lucky numbers, and your life should just be so easy.
Yes, it's
really
it's the rights. It's the universal rights to the joys and the pleasures of life.
Okay, so I'm still confused, because like these numbers saying these people are lucky because they're born on a certain day. Did the numbers that decided that just come from a feeling of these people with wisdom from, like, the Phoenicians you were talking about before?
It's chords of the universe. It's like, I liken it
Who figured that out? Who said
over time?
This chord is a 6, that this person's very lucky, and for thousands of years we realized all the people who were born on the 6th were very lucky. Is that how it came about?
Over time and over research, they worked that out. I'll liken it to when you're playing a piano. When we hear the high keys, oh, that's pretty.
Yeah.
Oh, that's childlike. It's ambient. It's
but when
friendly.
you're bashing out,
but no, well, not only that. When you go down to the lower scale of the piano, it's dark and it's mysterious. So it's the chords.
Right. Okay. So numbers are associated with that as well, with feelings and chords, and
it's neither good nor bad. It's just what it is.
It's a different feeling.
Yeah.
It's a different experience altogether.
Totally.
Right.
So,
okay.
But there's no bad numbers as such, and we never get what we can't handle. But we are all on this learning curve, and there's things I'm still trying to work out. Why is there such appalling tragedy in the world? And you look at some people that just get all the gratuities and luck in the world, and yet they can be bastards. And but it's just what it is.
How can you figure out from your numerology if you're on the right life path?
That's an excellent question. That's something that obviously if I'm getting that question, it's from somebody who wants to know. We all know, even if we don't know.
I'm just double checking, actually.
Even if we don't know about numerology
for the viewers, listeners,
or astrology, your life is what it is, and your life is what you're making of it.
Yeah.
And everything, it might look like it's unusual or not like it's always in sync, but it's always perfect for where you are at that particular time. But when somebody asks me about numerology, I love answering those questions for you. So what I think you're really implying is, what's my heart's desire?
Yeah.
What's my destiny in life? You can find that out through your name. How do other people see you? All the vowels in your name, all letters represent a number. So when we add those numbers up, brought down to a single digit, all the vowels in your name, that will it'll come to a number somewhere between 1 and 9. That represents your heart's desire in life.
So do you add together the numbers from the letters in your name as your full name?
Yes,
like if you've got a middle name?
Your full name is at birth. Your full name is at birth. Okay. All the consonants in your name will add up to a number somewhere between 1 and 9.
So you go A, B, C, D, E. So E's 5. And
yes, that's correct.
Cool,
yeah. And you add up all those letters across the page, and somewhere it could be a double number digit, but you keep bringing it down to a single digit. And that number, the personality number, will tell you even what colour clothes you should wear to bring love and romance into your life.
Are you serious?
Yeah, or how other people will see you. Now, if you add that personality number to your soul number, you'll get another number there. That's called your destiny number. That's what you must become in this lifetime.
So you got to strive to become that person. So talk me through those destiny numbers from say 1 to 9. Like, how different are they? And how do they match people's personalities?
Well, okay, here's a rundown of what the numbers mean. The number 1 stands alone, and to identify with that out there, if you're born on the 1st, the 10th, the 19th, or the 28th of any month of the year, because they all added up to 1, you people are really your own person.
You people.
Well, it's just that it's not that you can't be told. You're a good team player, but you're better as a boss, and you're better as a leader. But you look to generals, you look to people who are business managers, prime ministers, politicians.
So has that been worked out over the years? Like, this person is the prime minister or is the president, and most of the time,
in many cases,
their numerology comes down to a 1.
In many cases, yes.
Do you know any examples?
Not off the hat, but because I'm talking here quickly.
Yeah.
But if we were to work out, when you look at some people, they say, do you know what? That career just never worked out for me. They're in the wrong profession.
Yeah.
Let's take the number 2, for instance. The 2 is gentle. So we're looking at people who are born on the 2nd, the 11th, the 20th, or the 29th of any number or any month of the year. The 29 is the number of fame. I think Michael Jackson.
Wow,
I think
cool.
Oprah Winfrey is another one. But
fame and money, by the sounds of it.
Yes, but the number 2 is a diplomat. They're not so much the leader of the number 1. They're happy to be the team player. But if people who are born on the 2nd, they're great at following or addressing the facts, and they're very, very loyal to you. They're very loving. They're very caring. But you look at people who make fine diplomats. They hate arguments, so they will stand on this side and they'll stand on that side. They'll be a mediator.
Very balanced. Or will they sit on the fence?
They will probably sit on the fence, but
they'll see both sides of the argument,
right,
which is the best person to be a diplomat.
Yes, but they're not so much a business manager. That's the number 4. So you look at people who are born on the 4th, 13th, 22nd, or 31st. These people have brilliant responsibility. They love their families. They're very loyal to their families. They can be very, very serious, but they have a very fine sense of humor tucked away. But they're really the managers. You would not put them on the front desk. They're not so much into the meet and greet like the 3s.
Yeah.
But they're the executor of the business out the back. Those who are born on the 3rd, the 12th, the 21st, or the 30th, in all my history of doing numerology, these are the people that are quick to say to me, but when's my life going to change? When am I going to have good luck? But
it's up to them.
Yes, but they've got all the personality. You'll never meet an ugly 3. I liken them to a Jennifer. It's like Jennifers and Sallys. They're always happy most of the time. But
Jennifers and Sallys.
I've never seen an ugly Jennifer or an ugly Sally.
Yeah.
But I liken it to a number 3. The 3 is look for a demonstrator, a TV host, a person who is the meet and greet. Hi, how you going? Lovely to have you with us. They're the number 3.
I have no idea what I am.
What day? What's your birthday?
7th, 11/72.
You're a specialist.
I'm a specialist.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
so should be a mechanic or a...
no.
What do you mean by a specialist?
That's your 4.
Yeah.
That's your 4. So like your sports person.
So I'm a specialist.
Oh yeah.
What kind of specialist? Any kind of specialist?
Well, you can put a journalist. You can put a doctor. The 7's really the doctor's the 6. The professor's the 7. You're with that birth date. You're analytical. You
7th,
never
11th,
trust
72.
anything to face value.
Well, that's good to do a show like this because I could just constantly ask questions and be analytical.
It's perfect. It's perfect
Great.
for you.
I'm in the right job. This is perfect for me.
It's the Mike and Murph show.
I'm so glad that I got this information from you.
I'm so glad that you're here with me.
So what number am I?
You're a number 7.
Number 7.
Actually, I'll do your birthday before we go. We'll work it out.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yes, it's a pleasure to do it for you.
It's going to change my life.
No, I think it'll enhance
I'll figure out I'm on the right path or the wrong path. This could be the last show.
You know, my dad said to me before he died, God love him, he said, don't you think you take all this a bit too seriously? And, you know, I think that was a good question. Yeah. And I said, see, parents, you see.
Yeah.
And I said, no, I said, it's been keys to the universe. I met some brilliant astrologers. Ed Tamplin was one of them. You may have remembered Ed. He worked with me on 2GB for 12 years. He was my offsider.
Yeah.
And the man was incredibly knowledgeable. He still is with astrology. And I used to take that for what it was, and he taught me a lot about what the planets mean. And when you're born, the planets are all in a particular place in the universe, just like that birth date. But you know, things evolve. Planets keep moving, just like you keep growing. So when in life they come around the globe, as you move around the globe, that's when you'll have triumph, hopefully not much tragedy, but you know, we do learn from things in troughs and peaks and highs and lows, and you'll meet particular people in your life or circumstances at the perfect time. I don't question too much about it. I just accept it for what it is. It's how you handle the experiences, how don't be too confronted by them. Just go with them.
Can you tell me why people, especially I know a lot of Chinese people do this, they look for certain numbers if they're going to buy a house, like 8s or 6s or something like that?
Yes, they're certainly opposed to the number 4 because the number 4 rhymes with a word apparently in their language. Which
language, right?
which is synonymous with death.
Oh, yeah.
And from my understanding, but the Chinese love the number 8. Again, it's not my
Infinity?
favorite. Not my on its side, yes, but it's not one of my favorite numbers. People who are born on the 8th, the 17th, or the 26th, because all those numbers added up, brought down to a single digit, reach 8. The number 8. And you can look at house numbers too. They're often the show home, and you don't often see an ugly number 8 house. It's got the best lights. It's got the most manicured gardens in the street, and it's prestigious. Let's go back to the 1980s. Now, that was the only decade in the whole of the last century where people were putting shoulder pads in here, and they were wearing Dynasty was synonymous with it. It was all like, hello, here we are. We had very rich Spielberg movie productions. We had Dallas. They were all synonymous with wealth and prestige and glamour. But the 80s were also a decade of where we were refining what we were doing before it reached the 90s, but which was closure. It represented closure of what we were, because what came in 1995? The superhighway, the computer.
Internet.
Exactly, in its most embryonic form. And here we are in our most still evolving embryonic form of this new century.
Yeah.
Technology can't work faster than it is to try and
keep up.
Yeah, and try and wipe out what was created yesterday. I mean, one thing that really annoys me whenever I get on my laptop or computer, update, another update.
Another update. And then that update doesn't work with that software because that software is not updated. How many freaking updates do you have to do, Apple?
We'll be back after this update, but it doesn't matter. It's just like leave it alone, and the computer as well. But where we are heading, I think you're going to see, and I saw it in this week's, I saw a film on Tuesday, Black Panther, and they were playing around with technology.
Black Panther?
Yeah, you saw it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was these visuals, all smoke and screen.
Made over $1 billion. It's gone nuts. And it's great. Little black kids out there seeing black superheroes, which we don't have enough of.
Well, I thought that.
African American.
It had a good message, the film. It was also paying homage to the United Nations as well, saying, look, we do have a voice, and there are other countries other than you. So, it was a good film. I think there's going to be another series in it. There'll be a trilogy.
Totally.
But in that, there was smoke screens coming off watches. And
Love that.
And I was in a studio about 3 months ago now in Willoughby, and I was just looking at all the cameras and the lighting, and there was something that I was on camera at the time, and I was looking at it thinking, this is all antique. I just had that vision. It's not going to be like this in the future. It'll be like you can wave your hand over something.
Yeah. Were you at Channel 9?
No, I won't mention the studios.
It's antique.
No. Well, it's lovely in its own way, but I mean, it gave us all a start, didn't it?
Yeah. So we were talking about numbers of houses and people looking for those numbers in their life that might be good for them. If it's like a license plate, I don't know if I can get that license plate. I don't like those numbers. And are there any numbers that you avoid? No, I really wouldn't avoid. Like the Chinese avoid the 4, like you said.
Well, yeah, because I think that's a choice. But to give you a good analogy here, look at your house number. Now, if your house number is the same number as your birthday, you're going to love that place. You're going to be completely in...
Really?
Yes. So if you're born on a 22nd, which is a pretty powerful birthday, and if you moved into a number 22 house, or a 31, or a 40, or a... those particular numbers, but any number that adds up brought down to a single digit of 4, you're going to be in complete harmony. Same with number 9. 9, 18, 27, 36, 45, 54, they all add up to 9. So if you were to, even if you had multiple numbers on an apartment number and an address number, added up, brought down to a single digit, is it the same number as your birthday? You're going to be completely at peace and in harmony. Some people say, I don't want to move from this house, I love this house. they won't know why they're saying
It's
that.
because the number.
The number of the house could very well be the same as their birth path number, their birthday number, or one of the pinnacles.
My house number is 69.
That's a 6, because 9 and 6 is 15, so 1 plus 5 is 6. Children and animals love the number 6 home.
Really?
It's a wonderful home. It's a humanitarian house. So you care very deeply about people when they come over to your house. You're very hospitable.
I do. I let all my friends stay.
Yes.
Some for a little bit too
and
long,
you're
rent-free.
disturbed if they go, because you love it. They see you as like the man of the house. But it's a nice place to cook food in. It's a wonderful place to grow vegetables and have a lovely garden. It's a wonderful place to
I need to do more of that.
Wonderful place to raise children.
That's
number 6.
great.
Yeah, they make
Awesome.
brilliant addresses for kindergartens, schools, hospitals, medical centres, anything to do with welfare, humanitarian. If you find a government place in a number 6, count your blessings, because they're going to care for you a little bit more,
good.
other than if it's a 5. But see, 5 again. This is if you're born on the 5th, the 14th, or the 23rd. I want to keep bringing any analogy that I make back to people who are watching us, because I want you to every time, like you, Mike, being an interviewer, we always want you to feel involved. And when I'm talking about if you're born on those birth dates, the 5th, the 14th, or the 23rd, these people, you love your freedom, but you get bored. But what's with the virtues of a number 5 birthday? You're highly adaptable. You know how some people can't stand change? Throw a number 5 into it. They love travel. They love the thrill of the new. It doesn't matter what you throw them into. Wow, that's fantastic. I really love people like that, because they're not thrown by it.
Do some people, and I guess you might find yourself doing this sometimes, get a little bit too caught up in the numbers, and you'll start looking at flight numbers. You'll look at the bus number you get on, and think, I don't know, and you start adding things up. You don't do it too much. You can't do it too much.
Great question, but never.
Because Jim Carrey was in a movie called Numbers. I think it was like his first attempt at doing a serious movie, and he's tattooing numbers on his arms. He's writing them on his forehead, scratching him into the side of his car. And it was freaking him out. Do you ever meet anyone like that in numerology?
No, yet I've never done that either. I often, if I'm looking at a project, I will ask quietly, what was the date of that launch of that? Yeah, that'll decide everything.
So what about today? We were trying to figure out a date, because I said, what date's best for you? Did you go, what date's best for me? Let me look at the numbers.
I actually didn't think about that. I was more delighted in.
Can't you just make it up? Yes, Mike.
So
I planned it.
It was, what is today's date? It's the 20th.
It's the 18th?
It's a number, no, it's the 20th, I think, today.
I don't know. 20th,
It's 20th, yeah. So
I'm always a little bit behind.
Let's just put something.
Okay, what's going on with today's date?
So here we are.
If you've just fast-forwarded, wondering what the hell is going on, I'm with Steve Murphy, Australia's greatest numerologist, possibly the world's best if you do the numbers on his birth date and everything else.
Well, you know what? People who are born on this day as well, it's a 9-day. I just you can write your birthday out at home like we just did for today's date. We're March, so there's the 3rd month. We're on a 20-day, so we bring it back to the single digit of 2. And 2018 added up, brought down to a single digit, is a 2-year. So you add up all those numbers across the page, it's a 9-day. Even in government circles, you may even hear it in the news today, on the 6 o'clock news, there'll be something of a humanitarian or a philanthropic message that's
cool.
going to come through. 9 is the number of philanthropy.
Yeah, wow,
and,
cool.
But it's the number of universal love, the number of giving and caring. It's not judgmental. You look at people who are born on the 9th, the 18th, or the 27th of any month of the year, highly emotional people. They feel and they hurt very, very deeply, and they love very deeply. Often in relationships, they are the teacher. They're so humble they wouldn't even say that, but they will often have people that come into their lives where they have to teach them.
So let's get to the main reason why I got you here for this interview. And then you can go pretty much. What are the lotto numbers and how do I get them?
You can look at your numbers from your birth date.
Really? So some people have better lotto numbers than others?
You look at the first pinnacle as your lucky number. Okay. So you look at the month.
Always use that number.
Your month, yes, the month of your birth dates. So you're a 7-day.
Yep, 7/11/72. Give me my lotto numbers.
Oh, you're a Scorpio.
Yeah, I'm a Scorpio. Does that mean anything to you?
Your lucky number is 9. So that's your lucky number. So you would be looking at derivatives of that 18, 27, 36, again 45. You've got a number 7-day, and your birth date. Hold on. So it's November 7, 19. Do you want to put your year on camera?
72.
Okay.
The big 4-5.
That was a number 1 year.
Number 1 year.
So.
Cool.
You're a number 1 birth path. You remember how I was telling you before at the start of the interview? People who like to lead, they like to take control.
Yeah.
It suits you, not from an ego point of view, that you need to be number 1 in order for you to fulfill.
So I got to be a leader.
Not just that.
No?
You naturally are, but for you, I'm telling you now, Mike, for the rest of your days, if you have to do anything, you've got to make sure you do it yourself.
Yeah, really.
Because if other people, if you leave it, oh, can you do that, or can I leave you?
It doesn't get done,
mate. It's going to fall in a heap.
But sometimes
most times,
sometimes I feel like that's me trying to be a control freak. Trying to do everything myself. You've got to delegate.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, you'll put your head on the pillow. You think, I know I did my best.
I did some stuff today,
and I did it properly. And I know that the next day and the day after that, it's going to be executed in such a fashion I can rely on it. And at the end of the day, you know that you're your own best friend with that. It's not to say, look, there will be numbers that are arrogant and or perhaps wimpy or not committed, but that filters down through everything. When you understand the numbers and you understand the house that you're living in this case, I'm living in a number 1 birth path. My birth date's a number 7. And I, you know what, you're actually interested, so I'm happy to spend some time with you and show you how it works. But at the end of the day, you are a perfectionist, and you like to lead, you like to create. And ever since I've known you, and I'm now reflecting on this, you've always, ever since I've known you, you've always come up with new ideas.
Oh, yeah, I'm an ideas man. No worries.
You've
definitely.
Always come up. Oh, no one else is doing that.
This was an idea to come down here to Archie Brothers and do the show. This is the first show that we're doing here, so it's pretty exciting.
Enormous potential.
Yeah.
See, number 1s. They will be number 1. All you have to do is choose to be, and it's like. Let's come back to the family. You know how some people are just programmed. You can look at both men and women. You said, gee, he's a great dad. Oh, he loves being a father. He's programmed that way.
Programmed to be a dad.
Exactly.
Wow.
His birth date, I would bet so much money on it. 100 out of 100. His birth date either adds up to a 6, brought down to a single digit, or his birth date is a 6, a 15, or a 24th of any month of the year. 6 is the only number that's pregnant. And it's the carrying.
No.
It's a symbol.
It's
a symbol. The Phoenicians, go back to the Phoenicians, they created numbers as symbols. And then the Greeks and the Romans perfected it. And over time, this is what's called the law of the numbers. And
because you're like the Roman church, they used a lot of numerology when they were first starting out, and then all of a sudden they decided that you weren't allowed to do that, and they brushed it off as something that could be wizardry.
Well, because it was gaining too much power.
Yeah, really.
And a little bit of knowledge was too much power for the masses to have. So they needed one controlling body to say that's going to be wiped out. You're not going to have that. That's no.
Speaking of power, do you know anyone who is successful in life who's always followed numerology, like any big rock stars or any TV hosts or other people that may have influenced you in the numerology space as well, and you've gone, wow, they really follow the numbers and it worked for them?
No, not really. Thank you for asking, but I have heard that Queen Elizabeth privately consults astrologers.
Really? Okay.
But having studied astrology as well, and I'm no authority on it. I've met the best through when I was on 2GB for 12 years. We had a raft of people come on.
Who was the best? Athena, star woman.
Oh, brilliant lady.
Yeah. She was married to Dr. DiMartini,
sadly
who
gone.
we had on the show recently.
Wonderful woman, incredibly talented. The sad thing is you think, now, there's a mystery. Why was she taken? But she was. Ed Tamplin, who I worked with for 12 years on air, he was my partner from the beginning of the show.
Yeah, wow.
And he was just so thoroughly entertaining.
And
Richard Sterling was another famous astrologer for the Women's Weekly, since passed. Fiona McCallum was another great clairvoyant. Not so much following astrology, but an incredibly intuitive lady.
Is there a lot of crossover between numerology and astrology? And do you find yourself being a little bit psychic, so to speak?
Oh, immensely so.
Yeah, wow,
yeah,
cool.
but I don't let it rule. I don't let it rule. It's, Mike, you've got that skill. You know.
How do you know that?
Because when you meet people, like all of our friends who are watching as well, and I'll ask you all, when you meet people, you get a sense.
You get a vibe.
You get a sense.
I got a good vibe out of it. I get a sense out of that person.
Yes, exactly.
It's funny because some people you meet, you just instantly click with, you get along with, you can talk to.
They're on your side. It's, you know, sadly, of course, the hairs on the back of your neck will go up on some occasions, but it's only a warning because it's saying to you, don't go any further there. That's not where your karma or your life is.
You got to trust that gut feeling.
You do. It will not lie to you. This thinks. But this feels.
Yeah.
Your heart will never let you down.
Is there a feeling in your heart and a feeling in your gut? Is that the same thing?
This is linked to here.
Yeah.
This is linked with the heart of the matter.
Yeah.
And when people are clashing with that, or they're fighting it, heart attack. Or heart, or if you're fighting,
you're thinking too much.
You're fighting the rhythm. It's like the heart disease. Because it's the heart's being challenged. It's being fought. Go with your heart. Love your heart, love your life, love your soul, love your destiny, love what you're doing, because so many people are in jobs that they hate, or they're just going through the system and the order of things for reasons perhaps that are completely out of their control, but they may be trapped. They may be trapped in relationships, they may be trapped where they're living. There's plenty of places around the world. People are busting to get here because it's paradise.
So that's why they say throw yourself at love and cooking with reckless abandon, because you never know what you're going to come up with.
Exactly. Love what you do. Find something. But, you know, I used to say this a lot on radio because a lot of people would phone into the program who I would be counselling through the numbers. And this is a very sad reality where people say, but I don't know what it is that I want to do. And I used to slightly dismiss that because, but now that I'm older, and I think I now know where they're coming from. I was in radio for 30 years, and then it chucked me out because there was a lot of stations who just couldn't get into what I was doing. But you don't necessarily need those stations now. It's like what you're doing here. You will get your audience. And what I learnt from being on air, I will be back on air. I was not missing it initially, but it's calling me back again because what you want, it wants you to.
But this is great. Everything you're talking about could be a show every week.
Yes.
Absolutely. And, getting different people on to talk about their numerology or what's going on with the planet.
See, we've even met each other back again for a reason. But, you know, it's wonderful what you're doing. I'll tell you privately, but you're going to go places too.
This is going to be huge, though, because people are going to love this, and they're going to fall in love with you, and they want to get more of it. And they can book you privately, but if they can listen to a weekly show or even a daily, like 5 or 10 minute podcast, I think that would do immense things for people.
I think when I started this show out, you know, I was young. I was really getting off on the fact that I was showing off, really, because the numbers the clairvoyance then clicked in, and I would say to people, which only happened again last week, oh, you're off to Hawaii. And then I thought, oh, why did I say that? And then this lady said to me, how do you know that? And I said, I'm actually just picking it up. But she said, who told you that? And I said, and then that's at that moment you realise, oh God, I should have shut up. You know,
they're wearing a Hawaiian shirt or a lei, or
you feel justified to say something, but that just comes to you. That's clairvoyance because I read the voice, and that's what was the success of doing.
Where am I going too soon? Do I need to think about it? Are you reading people's minds?
I'll work on that.
Oh, you work it out with numbers, okay?
Yeah, I'll look at that because the numbers will tell me something.
All right.
But what I've realised. And I had this instilled with me in radio, and you'll appreciate this having been on air. And some people in the industry hate me saying this, but life taught me this.
Yeah.
Music radio, when you're a jock,
Yeah.
and as wonderful as it is, we're sitting there in the studio, we've got 5,000 watts of music coming off the transmitter. You can put that record on in the studio and it sounds ordinary, but when you hear it back off the cans in your headphones, it sounds amazing.
Yeah.
1269 2SM. I'm in fantasy world.
And it is. It's amazing.
I'm having flashbacks.
So, but not only that, you're talking at the listener. So you have to be very, very careful not to get on that path because it's a fantasy world.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to draw your listener in with you.
You're having a blast. You're jumping around and having a good time. But
I loved it. I loved it. But
Yeah.
you've got to be careful there because this is, and I see it when the ratings come out. I
Yeah.
think, oh, that person was talking at their listener, as opposed to talk radio.
Yeah.
A lot of people hate talk radio,
Yeah.
but a lot of listeners love it. And around the world, talk radio is the number one format.
Yeah, it is. It is.
What's the number second format? What number two?
Number two, I guess.
Country music.
Country
Yes,
music.
country music.
Yeah, that
Yes.
explains it's so popular, I guess.
Yeah, in America it's changing where a lot of the demographics.
But the great thing about this is, there's no music, there's no ads, and I only found them as an interruption in my show.
Oh yeah, but
We can just yap away and say whatever the bloody hell we like. We got no program managers telling us what to do.
but I love commercial radio.
Yeah.
I love sponsors, and I loved looking after sponsors.
Yeah.
What thrilled me, especially when I was on breakfast radio.
That reminds me, thanks to Archie Brothers. If you want to go 10-pin bowling, you want to play some fantastic video games, you want to have a go at the Dodgems, come on down to Archie Brothers here at 75 Burke Road, Alexandria.
And it's an amazing place.
They've kindly let us record the show here, the first ever episode for our second series at Archie Brothers. Very cool.
It's a bit Luna Park. I feel like I'm in a ride here.
Woohoo, we are in a ride. We down there, they've actually got this 3D video game ride. They've got basketball shootouts. Actually, I'm going to start this thing on the show where with every guest who comes to Archie Brothers, we're going to have a basketball shootout. How's your shot?
I'll give it a go.
Yeah, we'll give that a whirl at the end of the show.
You need to be tall to be a basketballer. But I look at those guys on TV when they're playing. They're just fantastic. It's a ballet. They're genius. There's a sense of
they're coming to
mathematics
Australia.
to them.
The USA team are coming to play Australia.
Yeah, they're just amazing.
It's a good. Well, I've
go together.
I've been working. Yeah, for sure. I've been working at the Sydney Kings for the last couple of years as the courtside announcer. Hello. Hence the hat. And you can come to a game. We'll get you sitting there courtside, and maybe
we'll look at the numbers on the back of the jumpers.
Can you figure out how a team's going to go when you add the numbers together?
That's very technical. It's just, and I don't sort of go down that path. It's a bit like sort of calling the winners of the Melbourne Cup. And I'm not a gambling man.
Yeah.
But I look at those birth dates. What has been very important to me as a communicator with numerology, I want to talk to the person who called me, and because the answers are all in your birth date.
Wow.
The peace of, I've got incredible peace of mind through all of this, and I feel very, very calm. And where I look at a lot of people who haven't had that opportunity to involve themselves with either astrology or numerology, when you have this knowing, to me it speaks to me, and it's been my savior, it's been my guide, it's been it's been a very helpful influence for me. So when I look at those people, and that's why I built that show up at 2GB. It started out with nothing, and it ended up in number one in the ratings on Saturday night.
Wow.
But I never thought about the ratings. What was important to me was I had a huge fan base on that show who still keep in touch with me. I don't have a big enough web presence. That's probably my own fault.
Well, it's all going to start right here, Steve Murphy. We're going to pump it out left, right and centre. Hey, I just call you Steve Murphy. Were you born Steve or was it Stephen?
It was Stephen John.
Because
I'm known as Steve.
Because my birth name was Michael Aaron Goldman. And because at the time Dad loved Michael Jackson and Elvis Aaron Presley, and that's how my name came about. But some people change their name according to numerology, like what they call themselves every day. Does that make a difference, or you're always going to be Michael Aaron Goldman? Should I be Micah G? Should I be Mikey Goldman? Should I be?
Great question. You are what you are born with. That's going to be with you. You can change that. And
Hi, welcome to the Michael Aaron Goldman Show.
It still has a ring, but you'll be born with whatever your name was at birth. You'll be born with that. Okay. That's the numbers of what that name name adds up to,
Right.
brought down to a single digit.
Okay.
Just an extension to that, you know how I was talking about the destiny number,
Yeah.
which is the name, all the numbers in your name added up, brought down to a single digit. This is a big one. When you add the destiny number of your name to your birth path number, which is your birth date added up across the page, add those two numbers together. So one could be an 8 and the other one's an 8, so you add it up, 8 and 8, 16. So that's what's going to be called your ultimate reality number. That clicks in from the age of 60 to your death.
Reality.
What was the ultimate piece of cake you got in this lifetime? What was your ultimate reward? That number, somewhere between 1 and 9, it's what we call the ultimate reality number. Yeah. That's going to tell what's the outcome of everything you've ever done in your life. What's it going to be?
Oh,
that's a fascinating one. But that's another show. We could
talk for hours, and we have been.
Yes.
Steve Murphy, thank you so much for being on the mic.
It's a pleasure.
Do you want this jacket? I think it would suit you.
I want you to wear it next time that I come on.
No, this would seriously suit you. I just want to see. I think it'll fit. There you go. Because it's got numbers. It's got mathematical equations.
I'm a bit chubby.
And you can have the tie as well.
Actually, you're quite a solid boy.
There you go. It fits you.
That's amazing.
There's your jacket and your tie. There's a pair of pants over there as well that you can have too.
Oh, I know this is the circus, but that's taking over.
You wanted to get in my pants, so I'm going to get. Hey, Steve.
Thank you.
Good luck on your endeavours. Let's get you back on the show. And if people want to contact you and they want to get their numbers done, how can they do that?
Well, I am on Facebook, which is Steve Numerology. So it's like Steve and Numerology, but it's Steve Numerology. And or they can perhaps contact you through your show here, and yeah.
Hey, before we go, I was wearing the Sydney Kings hat, and I was mentioning that the Sydney Kings are back again in a big way this year, and we've got a whole heap of new players. So what I'm going to do just before the season starts in about a few months from now, I'm going to get you come back. I'll do the numbers for the Sydney Kings.
Yes,
and we'll do a little show, and that can be part of the launch for your new show.
Yep, fantastic. We'll work to that. You can look at the numbers of, and again we come back to what we were saying before. There's no bad number as such. Every number has its calling. Every number has its meaning. But those who are watching in today who've got birth dates of the 3rd, the 12th, the 21st, or the 30th, or the 6th, the 15th, or the 24th, or the 9th, the 18th, or the 27th of any month of the year, you've got lucky numbers there. And if you're born on the 16th, and I've seen this with people who play poker machines, and I've often asked them, people who are winning, what's your birth date? Oh, what do you want to know that for? They said, 16. Nailed it. The 16 is that lucky birthday number. Madonna's a 16.
I'm going to stick with the 16 people.
Yeah, but you're a 7 as well. So they don't call it lucky 7 for no reason. It is a lucky number, but it's a heavy number. It goes through its tests as well. Mate, thank you.
Steve Murphy! Good on you, buddy. And thank you to Archie Brothers Electric Circus for having us here. They are such good friends of the show, and they're going to let us record a whole stack of shows from here on in. So if you're ever in Sydney, get yourself down here. They got the best burgers and thick shakes you've ever tried in your life. They've got zombie shootouts. They've got dodge 'em cars. They got this climbing thing you can do all through the roof here. Bowling alley, absolutely incredible. Come to Archie Brothers Electric Circus in Sydney or any of their other incredible venues around Australia. Check out Holy Moly, Strike Bowling. Awesome. Thank you, Steve Murphy.